Hello, Oshkosh community. This is Edward Kastner from Making It Happen. Thank you for joining me again. To my left is a friend of mine, plus a Stickler survivor. Her name is Rachel Chapin. Thanks for joining me, Rachel.
It's good to be here. So my name is Rachel. Not only do I have Stickler syndrome, I also have fibromyalgia and I have osteoarthritis. And so,
Just tell the people a little bit about your childhood, like before you got sick,
Yeah.
growing up, that type of thing.
Unlike most people with disabilities, while I was born with the genetic disorder of Stickler syndrome, I wasn't aware of it until I was in my late 20s. So pretty much growing up, I really just dealt with a lot more of depression and anxiety type stuff. I didn't really have a whole lot of friends or anything.
So was it difficult? Was it difficult for you to not have a lot of friends, or?
Yeah, it was. I really felt like nobody understood me.
Do you think the having the stickers, more people understood you then?
No.
No?
Usually when I tell people I have Stickler syndrome, they've never even heard of it. It's somewhat of a rare condition. It's one of the more underdiagnosed conditions. It's a connective tissue disorder that affects my vision and my hearing. And they estimate the prevalence rate at somewhere between 1 in 10 to 1 in 30,000 people.
Yeah, from what I was doing my research, it's kind of a mutation, and they don't represent. It doesn't produce the protein properly to get the bone and the joints.
Those also come with it.
Yeah, yeah.
There are 5 different types of Stickler syndrome. Type 1 is what composes of 70% of the cases, and there's distinctive facial features that come with Stickler syndrome where you will have probably had cleft palate and a surgery to repair that, which I did. Obviously the eyes and the ears and the joints. And then it's a flattened mid-facial appearance.
Yeah. Now, one of the things, like you said, is hearing. How you doing at hearing me right now?
I've learned to adapt personally. Everybody in my high school, I had a sign language class where I did learn a little bit of sign language, and I learned about the deaf culture, and that was quite surprising to me.
Did you pick up any sign language too?
A little bit.
Okay.
I'm still but when it comes to hearing aids and different aids and being speech only or sign language, that's all a very personal choice. And for me, my personal choice is I really don't like to wear my hearing aids. So I've learned to adapt without them for the most part.
What kinds of tests did they have to run before you got diagnosed?
So what had happened was at my first job, I was starting to get in a lot of pain and really sick and throwing up and those kinds of things. And started telling the doctors, and at first they kind of were thinking maybe I was making it up, and I just kept pressing. And it took about a whole year, and they did lots and lots and lots and lots of blood tests. They did x-rays. They did, at one point I even had a needle in my back for a bone marrow biopsy. Yeah, not fun.
Nothing came of that though, right?
Not until after about a year though. And then I saw a rheumatologist in Neenah who was aware of what Stickler syndrome was. When I was very little, my mom had taken me to the UW, and they had wondered if I had Sticklers, but she couldn't afford the genetic testing at the time, and I wasn't really presenting with any symptoms. So they kind of left it at that, but I wasn't aware of that.
Okay. So when were you officially diagnosed?
In 2009. It was after a year of all the testing and everything.
So was it just the fatigue that got you, and the throwing? Were you losing a lot of weight, or was that an issue, or?
Pain and fatigue was
Pain
the
and
visiting
fatigue?
things,
Okay.
yes.
How did it affect your family life too? Like, how did it affect your mom and that kind of thing?
Yeah, she did have to get used to that. I wasn't really able to do a whole lot anymore. It had really reduced my capacity to, like, even at the time I was living with my husband, and we lived in an upstairs apartment. And even trying to get up the stairs to get into our apartment, I would have to stop and take a break and take a break to get up there.
Yeah, because I remember you telling me you had trouble walking. So
Yeah, not so much walking, but definitely stairs. Even to this day, stairs are very difficult for me, but I'm doing a whole lot better.
would you be the same? Has this made you a stronger person?
I believe so,
Yeah.
yes.
How?
I've really had to rely on my faith to help when I'm coming short. And I've really felt, and that was kind of a turning point for me. There's a story in the Bible where they talk about there's these lepers that the enemy army is on the other side, and they know they're there, but they're just lepers, and they're kind of going, well, you know what? We can go in the camp and see what we can do and see if we can get anything out of it, or we can just sit here until we die. Well, why are we going to sit here until we die? Let's go do it. And I just kind of took that to, hey, same thing. I can keep thinking that in the future I'm going to get worse, which it may happen. I don't know, but I really need to start focusing on the now. And
Yeah. What would you say to somebody in our audience that's watching tonight, or what? Yeah, going to be watching, that somebody that has a disorder that they don't know what to do, or where to go, even if it's sticklers. What would you say to the audience?
well, obviously, besides the whole concept of not giving up, don't be afraid either, and don't be afraid to continue and to listen to your body and to know, and that it's going to be all right, and that they'll make it.
Did you ever feel like giving up?
Yeah, I did. I struggled with depression, anxiety, basically even beforehand, through all my teenage years and everything. That's been a big struggle through my whole life.
Speaking of depression, now, you said that this made you depressed. What are some of the, how did it make you depressed? What were some of the warning signs for you? Say, hey, I'm depressed about this. Maybe I'm depressed about life. What were some of the things for you saying, hey, something's going on here?
Definitely one of the big ones is decreased appetite, sleeping a lot, and then just like getting easily frustrated for no reason.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah, sometimes it's really hard to feel like I want to care about anything.
Were you frustrated because you lost your independence, because you were so tired and so fatigued?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really radically changed my life.
How did it really affect your mom? Did she say, hey, what was,
Really, it actually, because I was living with my husband at the time, it really affected my husband more. He
Okay.
had to really kind of step up and help take care of me.
Okay.
I mean, I could still get dressed and stuff, but I mean, need assistance to open doors, open jars, those kinds of things.
Well, I know you had to eventually quit your job, so how did that affect you not having the money?
Well, I didn't quit. I was actually
Oh,
fired.
yeah, you were actually fired. I forgot.
Yeah,
I forgot about that.
that's okay. Yeah, that's because when I did get fired, I knew I was sick, but I didn't have a diagnosis, so I wasn't really able to keep missing any more work, and there wasn't really anything they could do. So
Was work pretty understanding about missing your work, or they no
it's all
they
right. though.
didn't understand.
Well, and there wasn't really a whole lot they could do.
Yeah.
So
From somebody that's going through depression, what would you say? What would you say to them to do? What would you strongly recommend that they could do? Like if they're dealing with depression tonight.
yeah, there's no shame in getting help. I did some research, and that's what I've got here. And it says that there's over 16.5 million people that suffer with depression. So yeah, definitely they're not alone, man. It's okay.
I mean, everybody gets down, but it's just I suppose it everybody gets down on a daily basis. But I suppose it depends if it lasts.
Right, exactly. Yeah, depression is a long-lasting, just like a fog. It's like a blanket over you.
Mm-hmm. Now, as far as your anxiety goes,
Which I'm extremely nervous right now. If you didn't know.
you're doing fine. You're doing fine. So, how do you handle your anxiety?
Definitely lately now I've taken up drawing, I've taken up photography, I've taken up, I write poetry. There's different things that I do to kind of help manage
Speaking
that.
of the drawing, I think we have a graphic for that.
Or not. No,
Okay.
okay. That's okay.
Do you want to explain a little bit about your drawing?
Yeah, that was super weird too. You had asked me to do that, and then I didn't get it done until last week. And it just kind of goes along this whole theme that this whole week has just been kind of the same concept. So the colors of Stickler syndrome are green and purple. So I had kind of basically just drawn a person that's getting hugged by an angel. And it's like God sends us angels in our life, and sometimes we see them and sometimes we don't. And
It was kind of deja vu because you're
Yeah.
dealing with your grandpa and
yeah. Yeah, I had done that over the weekend on I believe it was Saturday, and then by
Yeah.
Monday I'd gotten notice that, hey, by the way, your grandpa's in hospice. He's got a few days to maybe a week, and I'm just like, that's creepy. That's exactly what I was thinking of. So
So, what other kinds of drawings have you done? You know, because I know you're a pretty good artist too. So,
thank you. I haven't been that crazy over them, but I did different. I just draw whatever basically flies off of my hand. It's like they don't always work the way I want them to, so I just let it do its thing. I've drawn people, I've drawn sunsets, I've drawn, one of the later ones I did the Needle Park. I've done the sundial.
yeah.
Yeah, just whatever.
Does the sticklers affect your hands as well? Because
Yeah.
remember you said that your hands get tired after you draw.
Yeah, they do. That's the arthritis, actually.
So, okay. How did the anxiety affect your marriage?
A lot of fear, a lot of hard to open up and be intimate, and yeah, it's just a lot of worrying. Yeah,
And how does the anxiety affect your job?
that's a good one. That one too. Same thing. It's I want everything to be just right, and I want people to be happy, and I try to be on my P's and Q's all the time with people.
It's okay to be a perfectionist. You know, that's how we get better. We practice, we
Yeah.
we improve, and
Yeah.
so. What are and now moving into the other the other topic, which would be domestic violence. You dealt with a lot of that too and stuff.
Not so much the violence as the abuse part of it, but yeah, that is correct. And it's super weird that we're doing this show now because literally a year ago I would not be sitting here at all. I have grown incredibly in the last year. For those that don't know, and I'm very not shy about it. I'm really not shy about anything in my life at this point anymore. But yeah, a year ago it went from just regular abuse where, and I'm not trying to make him out to be a bad person or anything. I mean, it takes two people to have a problem. So I mean, communication and stuff definitely is my issue. But yeah, a year ago he had gone from just threats and verbal abuse and emotional abuse to he put my hands on me and he choked me twice, and after the second time I left him.
But it's made you a stronger person, obviously.
Very
and
much
that
so.
that was your faith. And what were some of the warnings? What were some of the warning signs?
Oh, I ignored them from the beginning.
The red flags they
Yeah.
were popping up, but you didn't.
Oh, I loved him, man, and that was all we needed was love, don't you know?
Yeah. Sometimes we don't see the red flags. We just see it for the love and.
Yeah, I did. I really wanted to believe in him very hard, and I just felt that a lot of people were against him for no reason. And I mean, now I just kind of go, what was I thinking?
Yeah, I know the church played a big role in support.
Yeah.
In support of you for
Yeah, I've
supporting
been
you
very
through it
blessed
and
with
stuff.
that.
And then the Christine Ann Center stepped in and provided you a home and whatnot
Yeah, I stayed
for
there for
living there before you came to Marion Manor. So
correct. You know, and I still love them, and I'll always love them, but it's just when you're in a violent situation like that, you know, your safety is number one. And when you have that is pretty much the most intimate form of violence that can be perpetrated against another person. It's like my life was very literally in his hands, so.
now that you look back, what were some of the red flags?
Definitely, and that's one of the things that I've struggled with. I don't believe in divorce. I still don't. It's like, but a lot of the red flags were the emotional and the verbal abuse, where I knew he was being a jerk, but I just didn't know if it was like a divorceable offense.
Yeah, like would he just tone difference, or how would he sound like?
Well, that too, yes. A lot of times it would seem like he was a totally different person, different look in his eyes, different. Yeah, it scared me. And it was just really hard to communicate with him.
Yeah. Did he like you said, communicate? Like how did you communicate with him?
Sometimes verbally, sometimes non-verbally, but I know sometimes I would just tell him, it's like, don't call me names, don't treat me like that.
Yeah.
And he would be all like, hey, I'm sorry, but then sure enough, it would happen again.
Yeah. So what were some things you would change looking back at it now?
Definitely stand up for myself more. Definitely listen to other people more. Because there was a lot of people that were trying to help me that I just wouldn't listen to them.
Yeah. What would you tell the audience that's watching this tonight? If somebody's going through depression, anxiety,
any of that, yeah. It's like I said, there's no shame.
there's no shame, and it's important to get the right people in place to help you, right?
Right, exactly. Yeah, we can all do this together. We need each other.
It's about being a team,
Correct.
working together, and that's where friends come in too. So, did you want to talk a little bit about your job and how you've come so far, and
Yeah.
you know?
Oh, I am very proud of my job. That's also been quite a journey.
I'm proud of you too. So.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Come so far.
So it took me 4 years to get my 2-year degree, and that's a lot due to my disability and that kind of thing, because I can only work part-time. I can only go to school part-time. I can only do so much at a time. So after I had gotten my degree, I graduated in 2014 from Fox Valley Tech with a degree in software development.
Okay.
And then I looked for a job for a whole nother 2 years. I had gotten hooked up with Clarity Care, and I did a internship with Pierce Manufacturing, and then
What did you do at Pierce?
they had a program that they were having me clean up to determine where fire trucks were being purchased.
Did you get to ride in a fire truck too?
No, I wish.
Oh, shoot.
That would have been fun.
Right?
Yeah.
Or did you get to see how they were made at least?
No.
Oh,
I was just
darn.
in the office.
You missed all the fun.
Yeah, they would have kept me on, but same thing. The barrier was there that I can only work part-time, and they didn't want to hire anybody on part-time. So go back to looking for a job. And then Intergen came along in March of 2017 after an internship there I was hired on.
Okay.
And I didn't get it to show people, but one of my favorite things though is yeah, that's the logo for Intergen, so I
Okay.
had to get that.
Okay.
I love my job.
What have you learned about yourself as a person being at Intergen? Like, you know, because each job is a building stone to your ultimate goal. So,
Well, and that's what I said in high school. There was no way I was going to go in computers. It's like, that's a boy thing. I'm not smart enough. And I mean, I know better than that now. And yes, I'm smart enough. Yes, I can do it. And no, it's not a boy thing. It's perfectly fine. And I'm good at what I do.
So what gave you that confidence?
It's just kind of a matter of time and the small victories, just kind of building off of them. And this is really cool. Look what I can do. And I mean, my boss I just really appreciate the time that he took to teach me a new way of thinking, because what I do at Intergen is I build the websites, which is different than software development. That's more on the back end. So he had to take the time out to help me to embrace a new way of thinking.
So do you think it's about the people that because we talk about the small victories, everybody looks at the big picture, but I think it's more about the small victories that mean a lot more.
The pieces that add
What
to
do you
the
think
puzzle.
so?
Yes.
What do you think so? You
Yeah.
want to talk a little bit more about your small victories that you consider important? Because each person is different.
Yeah, just definitely the fact that, I mean, I can get up and down the stairs now, that, I can get around and I can work and I can be productive. I'm just very happy about that. Because I know when I first got sick, it's like I really couldn't do much of anything. Even trying to go to the store to go shopping, I would get tired.
Is there any treatment for like sticklers?
A lot of times because you have arthritis and that sort of thing that usually comes with the territory, they'll try to give you a pain medication for that. But I personally am not it's like the side effects of the medicine outweighed the benefits for me. And so that's not something I would recommend for everybody, but for myself, I prefer.
Sometimes it just made you too tired and like, oh, why am I taking this? And
Oh, I was a zombie. It just amplified
Did it affect your work too?
I wasn't working at the time, but if I was, it probably would have.
Because with you being in website development, it's very important. Very important to get your stuff out in time and whatnot.
Yeah.
So, so how long have you been at Intergen now?
I've been there since March last year, so a little over a year.
What kind of confidence have you gained or grown since you've been there?
Oh, I have. It's really cool because I've gone from having predefined templates to learning how to make my own and to.
Because you went to school for some of that kind of sort of too, right?
Well, yes, I did, but as I had said earlier, that's really, it's the right mindset, but it's not quite the same thing. So he had to teach me a different language and just a little bit of a different way of thinking, because a lot of times in software development, when you're dealing with databases and that, it's more logic-based, and the websites are more visual, so it's a different thought process.
So you probably can give Brian a lot of credit for just being patient, because there's not a lot of patient people out there.
Right.
Yeah, there's not a lot of patient people out there, so.
That's really what I struggled with when I was trying to find employment, is that they weren't willing to be flexible with the hours that I could work and those sorts of things, the skills even. It was that I had to fit what they wanted to a T, or else I wasn't able to even. And the few times that I did get an interview, I would get so nervous that I would shoot myself in the foot. Even with Brian, I was so nervous that I barely knew my own name.
So if you had to send a thank you message to your boss tonight, if he's watching this, what would you say to him?
Seriously, Brian, God bless you. Thank you for everything you've done for me. That just means a lot. And I love everybody at Intergen. You all have helped me so much. I just appreciate it. Thank you.
So, what are some of your future goals, plans, ideas? Because now that you got the confidence,
Yeah.
Because when we have the confidence, we can do a lot of different things.
Yeah, I've got some ambitious ideas. It's funny. I haven't even officially decided if that's what I want, but I think when Brian retires, I think I'd like to take over Intergen. That would be really
tell
awesome.
him.
Yeah, don't let the power get to my head now.
Don't tell him that, right?
Yeah. I don't know. That's what I think
Oh.
though, because yes.
We have a poem graphic here,
Okay. Are we doing it?
and we're doing it.
Okay. 3, 2, 1. As the store opens before lights on, I'm out wondering black, surveying inventory on the green lawn. I think my mind's left with the cat. So strength and straightly sail south to achievement. Maybe midnight will be waiting for me. At any rate, prepaid for electricity, having the cost of careless said. Mind melded, marked meaning more. I raised the flag for feeling each color. Also refusing to hide behind no problem, even if I didn't choose to go to war. This is the stations of the clock, a time for dancing and a time for silence. In purple comes the time of the cross. As I lay me down to rest, the gold star nightly reminds me that whatever may come, night surrenders daily and answers my wondering. So how could I keep afraid?
So what does that poem tells a lot? What does it mean to you personally?
Well, and that's what I thought of when I made it, was just kind of how is my day, and I need to be ready for anything to come up because every day is different for me. Some days I'm in more pain, some days I'm in less. And just the fact that I make it through each day one day at a time.
Yeah. So, would you like to say any final comments to the people, or?
Yeah, just don't be afraid, just keep going. There's no shame, we can do it together.
Yeah, because we covered a lot tonight, so it's important.
Yeah. All right, well, thank you for having me on.
But before I end here, there's one message I really want to say, and this is the reason why I'm doing this show. If you have a show idea, you can either check me out at my website, at edwardcastner@joomla.com, or you can email me. But the main message I want to say to people is, if you can make it happen you can make it happen as long as you put the right people in place to help to support you, to push you forward. Kind of like Oshkosh Media does for me, kind of like my friends do for me, Special Olympics does for me. And thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time. We covered a lot.